Hey everyone, my name is Yusuf. In today's video I will go over why you should be staying away from trucking industry and how trucking could lead you to a bankruptcy, unfortunately, in certain circumstances. So for the past 24 months we had gone through a really bad pandemic, obviously, as everyone knows, and the government decided maybe printing money would be a good solution. So they passed trillions of dollars of stimulus checks to pretty much everyone, and on top of that they lowered the interest rate to nearly zero, and their monetary policy to get loans and so on was really lousy, if you can allow me to say that. And also they gave a lot of PPP loans, disaster loans. It got so crazy to a point where you could get a PPP loan and pretty much half of the loan that you had, you could apply for forgiveness, and they would just forgive you for that, for like $25,000 or $30,000 that they gave you. You just had to fill up an application and say for whatever reason that you qualify for forgiveness, and they will forgive you for that. And on top of that, they gave COVID disaster loans, where you would just go online and fill out the application and you would get the loans within 48 hours or so, or within a week. The approval process was super easy, and a lot of people went ahead and got those loans. And people who were not approved for those loans, they were able to apply for a loan through a bank or a private lender and get qualified for it very easily because of the monetary policy that the government had. So before, if you wanted to get a loan as a CDL to buy a semi-truck, they would ask you to have your CDL for two years and have your MC and everything. And the past 6 months or the past 1 year, people who had their CDL for less than a year and their MC for less than a year, they were able to get loans and buy a few trucks. So in the process, obviously the price of everything went up, including food, everything you can name of it went up. But especially the prices of trucks went up by almost 3 times. I bought my truck, for one of my trucks, for $53,000. The same truck as of now is at $140,000, and you couldn't even get those trucks because everyone had money and bought when they could. It got to a point where you would see a truck on website and you would call and they would say, oh, someone just put a down payment or a deposit on it, it's already gone. And they hadn't even checked the truck, they haven't even had the truck ready to be sold. You would get there and you look at it, you're like, dude, you haven't even cleaned out the truck. But the customer were happy because there were no trucks available, but a lot of money available in people's hands. And that's why it created a big problem with the pricing. And also I bought my trailer, my flatbed trailer, for $14,000, and the same trailer as of now it goes for $40,000, and it's almost not available. When I say as of now, it's we are currently in May, so things has slowed down just a little bit, but like 3 months ago the prices were still high and you couldn't get the equipment as easy as you could a year and a half ago or a year ago. In the beginning of this year, the Federal Reserve realized that maybe inflation is a concern and we should tackle this, and so they started raising interest rates, and initially they said they will raise it by a quarter point, like a 25% of 1%, a quarter of point. So they did it in March, and then they were supposed to do another quarter raise in May, but they came around and raised that by a half a point, which means that the concern of inflation is really high and they want to have that under control. So their target is to have the federal interest rate raised up by 2% by the end of this year, and maybe another % by next year. But it seems like there's a consensus that 3% of Federal Reserve interest rate would not be enough to slow down the inflation that is happening. So people are talking about 4 or 5% of interest rate will get people slowed down. Now you have that information. What does that mean to you? By the end of this year, the federal interest rates will be much higher, closer to 2% probably or more, and also their monetary policy would be tighter than it was 6 months ago, because they don't want the inflation to go higher and higher and become like countries like Turkey, where they have like 54% of inflation that is ongoing for many years. So in the process, they will tighten up the monetary policy and they will raise up the interest rate, meaning people cannot borrow money as easy and as easy as they could. That means a lot of equipment will not be sold as high prices as it was last year, meaning that the prices will go down. That will give you an opportunity to get into trucking with less money invested. Also, another thing that is my main concern is the fuel prices. Because of the current conflict with Russia and Ukraine, the fuel prices went up, and it seems like it will stay up for a while before it goes down. So as of now, it is not a good idea to become an owner-operator because of these reasons that I give you. So let's give you some numbers and back up my talking with numbers that I have done. So we will assume that you will be driving 10,000 miles per month every month for 12 months, okay? And we will let you know how much you would make if you drive 10,000 miles with a flatbed over the road. That is pretty much a full time. Maybe you're looking about 3 days at home if you're lucky, maybe 2 days or something like that. But this is pretty much a full-time over the road trucking, okay? So you do 10,000 miles a month at $2.50. You're looking at about $25,000 in revenue. And the first part that I will be mentioning is if assuming that you have your own authority and you are dispatching yourself. You're not hiring anyone else to dispatch you, and you're not giving anyone else a percentage off of your load to do your paperwork and whatnot, okay? So this is assuming that you're bare bones, okay? And then we will get to a part where you're leased onto a company and see how much you would make if you're leased onto a company, okay? So 10,000 miles at $2.50 per mile will give you $25,000, okay? Your equipment, here is the calculation that I've done. A decent truck, the price of a decent truck currently is $140,000. And the price of a decent trailer, flatbed trailer, is $40,000, okay? So you're looking about a total equipment cost of $180,000, and that I have not even included the securement, which will run you about $5,000. So let's just throw that $5,000. Let's not talk about the securement and tarp and strap and everything that you need to secure your load. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about only the truck and trailer, which is $180,000. So you put 20% down, meaning you have $36,000 to put down if you have it, and then you will finance the rest at maybe 10 to 12% of interest rate. And the reason that I'm telling 10 to 12%, I know someone who has recently got financing for their truck at I think it was like 11% or something like that, okay? So if you finance a truck and you put down 20% of $180,000, that means you financed a total amount of roughly $140,000, okay? That will give you a truck payment of $4,000 for 48 weeks, okay? So your truck payment will be $4,000. You are doing 10,000 miles per month. Current diesel price is around $5.40, and we are in mid-May. So you're looking at about $10,000 in fuel, pretty much $1 per mile, because my truck gives me 6 miles to the gallon hauling a flatbed trailer, and that's roughly about $1 a mile if you calculate DEF and diesel at the same time. So $1 per mile for fuel, because fuel prices are high at over $5.40. You're looking about $10,000 in fuel. Okay, next would be your PM service. If you're driving 10,000 miles a month, you're looking about 1 PM service, like oil change, fuel filter change, and that's minimum of $400 unless you want to go cheaper and get it done for like $300. Okay, next up would be your insurance. Because you're insuring $180,000 worth of equipment, your insurance will no longer be around $1,000, because the more coverage you have, the more insurance you pay. So I put $2,000 for your insurance. Okay, next up would be your tolls and small permits that you have to have. This all depends on where you're running. If you're running northeast, you'll probably end up paying $1,000. If you're doing just Midwest, maybe a little less than 500. So I went ahead and put 500, just so that we can calculate the average. Next big one would be your factoring. Unless you have money in your bank account and you can wait 30 to 45 days before you can get paid, you need some company to pay you right away or to pay you within 24 hours, and they keep 3% of the load. So 3% of 25,000 is 720. Next would be your Ifta. Obviously, depending on what states you run through and where you fill up and where you don't fill up, that could change a little bit, maybe plus or minus 10%. But generally, for my trucks, it's roughly around $300 per month, because the lanes that we run. Okay, $300 for Ifta, and then after that you have maintenance. I have put $1,200 for maintenance, just because I see people say put like 2 cents a mile or 3 cents a mile. I don't think that is fair, because especially when you're running a flatbed with a spread axle, your tires will not last as long as the dry vans do. So you're lucky if they last 60,000 miles. And if you change 8 tires at roughly $500 out the door price with installation and mounting and dismounting and disposal and everything, you're looking about $4,000 for eight tires. And if you do that twice, that's $8,000 per year just for your trailer tire and nothing else. Like, you haven't even calculated the mistakes you do. You bump into someone you have to take your truck into a body shop or anything like that. You haven't even calculated that kind of stuff. So $1,200, I would say, is bare minimum. But last would be miscellaneous, such as your $2,290 that you have to do per year. That will be like roughly around $500, and also the tag that you have to get for your truck, which will be around $1,500 depending on what states you live in. So that $200 is probably less than normal, because you also have to pay for accounting. You also have to pay for other stuff that comes up. It's not just this. Okay, but these are bare minimum I have calculated. I didn't want to scare you guys too much because of the calculation. Okay, so if you add up all the expenses, you have $19,320 of expenses. You have $25,000 in revenue. That means you have made a gross or a net of $5,680 if you stayed out the entire month. So for some people, $5,800, roughly $5,700 in a month is okay. For some people, they said, you know what, I am not gonna take the risk of dying, take the risk of being in a jail for $5,700, or not see your kids grow, not see your wife, not see your husband for $5,700. Okay, so the amount of $5,700, is assuming that you have your own authority and you're dispatching yourself. You're not paying anyone extra to get your loads or do your paperwork. Let's get into those people who don't want to get their own authority and they want to sign on to a company and have them find their loads and have them do their dispatch and everything. Okay, and the going percentage is between 10% upwards of 40%. Some companies like Landstar, I heard there's a rumor or people are talking about it on YouTube that they charge 35% of a load, but they supply you with a trailer or some sort. I don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I do know it starts from 10% and it goes up to 40%. So let's assume that you pay the minimum percentage of 10%, and if you do that, they are taking 2,500 of 25,000. 10% of the 25,000 is 2,500, leaving you with 3,180 bucks plus. Well, you could add the factoring to that and get 3,900, because when you're leased onto a company, usually they don't charge you for factoring. So my question is, would you stay out entire month on the road for $3,900? That is very low. I don't think I would stay on the road for $5,700. So let's say you still like trucking and you want to get into it, but you don't want to be too risky. What you could do now is, if you are already in trucking, let's say if you're already up and running, then the only thing you could do is just keep on running. But if you are a driver, I would highly suggest that you remain as a driver. Get your 50 cents, 55 cents, 60 cents a mile, and just drive and save as much as possible, because this time that we're going through with the high diesel prices and high equipment prices will not stay like that forever. It's a matter of maybe 6 months to 18 months. You would see truck prices go down by half. You would probably get the same truck that they're selling for 140,000 for less than 70,000 by the mid next year or so. Okay, so if you're a driver, remain a driver. But if you are just a person that wants to get their CDL and then get a job, or if you want to get your CDL and then buy your equipment and get on the road as an owner-operator, I would highly suggest that you do not do that, because first of all, you don't have experience to be in the business. Second of all, you don't know whether you like it or not. And third of all, you are getting into a time where the freight rate is so low, the equipment prices are so high, the diesel prices are so high, so the percentage of your failure is almost like 99.999%. okay, so don't do that. Do get your CDL and go work for a company, even if they pay you 45 cents a mile or 46 cents a mile as a start. Just go ahead and work for them, get some experience under your belt, and go from there. In a year or 18 months to 2 years, everything will come back to normal, and then you can buy a truck for yourself and then get into whatever kind of a trucking that you'd like, whether that's flatbed or drive-in or reefer. Why are we going through this roller coaster of ups and downs? It seems like, this is only happening now, but it's not true. Like, if you look at the history, you have always had a boom, a bust, a boom, a bust, a boom, a bust. It's always like that. It's never like you would never have a constant of economy going up, 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 up. Why? Because the Federal Reserve plays with interest rate. Economy slows down, they bring down the interest rate, people are happy, people borrowing money at very low cost, everything goes up, people are even more happier, they keep on buying until the inflation catches up, and then Federal Reserve says, oh my god, hold on, that created a problem, let's slow down the economy a little bit so the inflation wouldn't cause a big problem. What they do, they raise up the interest rate again, and then economy slows down. And they do that all the time. It happened in 2008, it happened in 2000, it happened in 1970s, it happened in 1930s. It always happens, and this is just a cycle that you have to go through. And the good people, the really smart people, would wait until the economy slows down, where no one is thinking about buying, and you have the cash to buy, and then you buy when no one is thinking to buy, and then you sell it when everything is hot, just like it was in November. Stock market was up. Stock market was up. S&P 500 reached to the highest of $4,800, and then now it's trading at $4,000 or less than $4,000. The S&P 500 index I'm talking about, and we are going through recession for sure. And this is just the beginning of the economy slowdown. And I think you would have, for the next 2 years or 3 years, you would have a really slow economy because the interest rate will be continuously rising. And by the end of 3 years, if you have cash, you can go ahead and buy S&P 500 index funds or any other companies that you're interested in and buy them. Amazon went up to $3,800. I think it was like in November, and just yesterday it was trading at $2,100. So that's 40% less. Who would have thought that Amazon could lose 40% of their market value? Same goes for Tesla. Tesla will suffer even more. I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla trades below 200 or below 150 within 18 months, because no one is really want to buy a car for a high interest rate, right? So things will slow down, and if you're really smart, all I'm saying, you could invest in whatever you want to invest when things are not looking that good to the rest of the world, but in your perspective it is good because you have done your homework. Anyways, this will do it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope I didn't scare you. If you have watched this video until the end and you don't have any comments to make in the comment section, just go ahead and type in a dot, like a period dot, and hit enter. That's it. Like, I don't want anything else, just one dot, just so that I know you have watched this video until the end. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.